Okay, welcome to another coaching session with us all. This session is going to be on hot zone decisions, and we briefly touched point on hot zone areas in one of our last coaching sessions as well, which was our penalty areas, both penalty areas, and then another hot zone area is, of course, in front of those technical areas. So really, those hot zone decisions are the ones that are going to be the most important ones, or the ones where there's going to be a lot more heat in the decision making, where possibly players are going to be a lot more heated getting involved, or more players are going to be coming and talking to the referee in a lot of situations. So the penalty area equals greater priority, and I think I push it a lot when I'm coaching a lot of the referees. Is if the ball is heading to or towards the penalty area, we've got to be within close proximity of that penalty area to make a good decision or a correct decision as well. And it does equate to obviously it being that hot zone, and that's both penalty areas too. So how does improving your hot zone decisions help you as a referee? By improving your decision credibility, you will have more trust from the players. That's definitely important. We touched point on that in the last coaching session as well. Communicating to players is really important. Have less frustrations and dissent aimed at yourself, and also obviously your team of officials. Have more understanding from the technical areas. Build your own confidence in the game. Show that you're giving the game your energy and respect. Make fewer, we say, questionable decisions with key match incidents. Get more respect from spectators and other participants, and have more consistency between you and your assistant referees. I think consistency is another key word too that definitely gets thrown around the referee space as well. But I think it's really important. Like, the main bit is like improving your decision credibility. It's getting close to the decision, getting close to those areas that are high areas of importance. And definitely, if you're getting close to there, we can see that you're giving your energy and also like the respect to the game that it deserves as well, rather than just standing in a center circle, doing a couple of steps to the left, a couple of steps to the right. Because as we mentioned too, every game should be treated like it is that top end football in Australia, or treated like a FIFA football match as well.
On that point of consistency, Brad, I think it's important we understand that we can actually we kind of can create the illusion of consistency, right? So if our positioning is in a good place, because like no two decisions are the same on the field of play, right? There's always a different circumstance that creates a different foul or something like that. The ball's a different angle, the foot's a different angle, whatever it might be. But you can give the illusion of consistency. You can make everyone believe you're being consistent by building that proximity, by making sure that you're in the same place for each decision, and then people are going to understand that a little bit more. It's not necessarily something that is like really cut and dry. It's kind of a rhetoric as a referee, I think.
Yeah. Well, there was a really good video I was shown years ago when Mark Clattenburg was still refereeing, and the ball went down into the corner on the opposing AR side, and the defending player was doing the usual. They were trying to shield the ball out for it to be a throw into them, and the attacking players come in from behind and giving the defense a little bit of a hassle. And then Mark Clattenburg's run from like sprinted to get to that corner area. He's standing there like 2 meters away from him. The attacking player ends up fouling the defending player, and he calls a free kick. And the attacking player then turned around to go and have a absolute spray at him. But because he was standing 2 meters away, he was like, "Oh, okay, well, I can't complain because he's standing right there. Like, how could he miss something? How can I ever go at someone who's standing right there around a decision that is probably clear as day in that situation?"
Yeah. Like consistency with your positioning leads to consistency with your decision making. That's I think that's what I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah. So how to improve hot zone decision making? The path to improving your hot zone decision making relates to improving your positioning and anticipation. There we go. So a lot of it is based around that positioning and also anticipating and understanding the game of football. Okay. Remember these key aspects of positioning: sprint around the center circle or sprint through the center circle. We don't want to get caught up in that area. There can be areas where we get hit by the ball, or we end up bumping into players. We definitely don't want that. Continue to move on the positional diagonals. So we're talking about moving through that, not moving straight down that central corridor or that central channel. It's moving across to that other side, moving across that diagonal to where the ball is, so you can be in close proximity. Anticipate play. So the previous terminology that we used to use was where we go, and it's about really get to where the ball is going to be. So we're not staring at the ball the whole time. We're not sort of watching the defense pass the ball around the back line. If they pass the ball around the back line, we can look downfield. Is there a winger making a movement to go for a sprint down there? Is the attacker in the center possibly looking for a long ball over the top through the center? So we can head downfield and almost be prepared for an attacking phase of play, but also keeping ourselves prepared in case the defense fumble the ball and then we've got to sprint back for a possible quick counter attack there. Join the attack. I think that's another key one that's been mentioned quite a few times. Don't just be a spectator of the attacking football. Join the attack as though you're an attacking player yourself, but you don't want to be on top of the play. You don't want to be intercepting a ball, intercepting a line of pass for some of the players too. You want to make sure you're a spectator of the situation, but also within close proximity of that attacking phase. Always anticipate attack will succeed. So I know, a lot of the times you have a successful attack, but always anticipate that's the succession plan for every team's attack. Okay. Very rarely do you see attacking teams go all the way down to one penalty area and then they decide to kick it all the way back to their goalkeeper. That rarely happens. Like, always anticipate we're going to have a positive attack there. Keep moving towards the decision as you give it, then create space from the players. So if you're making a decision, if you're making that penalty decision, blow your whistle strong and hard. Don't just stand in one spot, allowing players to come to you. Move towards the situation or move through the situation as well. So then you can prepare yourself. You can stand in a position that is open to you, but also if anyone's going to start coming at you, you're the one that is in control, not the players. And ensure your body language and signaling is calm, confident, and clear. So that's blow your whistle strong, stand tall, a really clear signal that it's a penalty. That it's a penalty as well that you've given. Not a very head down, blow your whistle light. You haven't signaled it yet too. Be really clear, calm, and confident there as well. Pretty much what's on there, but I just said absolutely backwards there as well, Adam.
I like the word crisp when it comes to clear.
Yeah. And work closely and consistently with your ARs. I think this is one that's also, it comes down to pre-match instructions when we're talking about working closely and consistently with your ARs. I know for myself, my coaching and how I work as a referee is, as a referee, if there's a decision I've got to make inside the penalty area, let me be the one that makes that first decision. If I'm really struggling or if I really need assistance and I'm looking for help, I will give you a look. You will be able to tell what that look is if you're the AR, that I'm really looking for help here. Crack me a big nod and I know, yep, cool, we're on the same page. I've not seen something, you've seen something else. And then we're able to call it. I'll probably come and have a chat to you as well, or if we've got comms, we'll talk about it too. And then we can give an explanation why we're giving that decision. Ultimately, it does come down to that pre-match instructions, but also assistant referees, the role of the referee there is in the title. Assist the referee is really important. I'll let you go through this one here, Adam.
So how do we work closer with your assistant referees, especially in relation to the hot zone decisions? I think it all starts in the changing room before you go out and kick the game off, and it all comes down to that briefing and how you start building those relationships early in the game, so that they understand what you need and what you want, because everybody's slightly different, and they also understand how they can help you. As opposed to them trying to figure it out when they're out on the field, because that's when sort of problems and conflicts can occur. So firstly, you need to establish what is the assistant referee's credibility zone. So generally, most of us would probably say the credibility zone of an assistant referee is from on their side of the field of play up to the edge of the penalty area and then up to the halfway line and kind of along that line closest to them. And maybe a little bit into the opposing half there as well. But obviously the credibility zone can change because that's dependent on where you're positioned as well. So the further you are away as the referee, then the assistant referee may become more credible. And it's important to just brief that out and flesh that out and make sure your ARs know when you want them to get involved and when you don't. How do you want them to establish what they're going to do for an in-out penalty area decision? So, it's such an important decision that you're going to give as a penalty or a free kick. And your assistant referee is oftentimes one of the best placed people to tell you whether it's in or out. So you just need them to step away if you've given the foul for a free kick, or do you need them to get down to that corner flag as soon as possible if you're given a penalty and you want them to confirm it as a penalty? And then how we present as a team when giving decisions. Do you want them to take the lead? Do you want them to follow in behind you? Do you want them to flag at the same time as you? Is there different parameters around kind of the easy throw-ins and the easy goal kicks compared to a foul, et cetera, et cetera? Are they, taking the lead on offsides, which I'd probably suggest they should? So just outline sort of the key decisions they're going to be involved with and how you want to lead them and when you want them to lead you, and how that's going to work as well. The other one I always like to cover in that section is obviously getting the eye contact and doing the small signals down below, pointing what direction I think it is, and then them confirming with their flag. And then I ask my team to go up together with me once we've got eye contact. And then what decisions do you want their assistance with or not? I think last season I saw a lot of sort of our younger referees, they call a penalty or they'd call something and then they go over to the AR to confirm, and they think that adds credibility to what they're doing. And actually kind of it created more frustration and misunderstanding because you want the referee to lead on certain decisions. So a penalty is always going to be the referees unless they really have no view. And as Brad said, then he'll look and then he'll really ask for help. And then, is it a really easy throw in front of them? Are you happy for the AR to take the lead on that? And what ones they're going to lead and what ones you're going to lead. Again, I think I've touched on the next point. How do these decisions change based on position and credibility? And then what moments can your AR increase their assistance with you? Is it maybe when they're dealing with the technical areas, they can raise their profile? We was always taught about sort of when you raise your profile and lower your profile as a referee. And so when is your assistant referee going to raise their profile? Is it when you've got subs? Obviously, it's a natural point for them to raise their profile. When plays directly in front of them, that's a natural moment for them to raise their profile. And are they going to increase their assistance verbally or just using the flag or those kinds of things? They're going to help out at corners. And then who takes the lead on the penalty area decisions, the hot zone decisions? That's really important. And obviously, I think generally across all football, we want to see the referees being confident because they're in the best position to give the best decision. And we would really like to see the referees really giving the lead on penalty area decisions because it is really their area of credibility. And then if there is real strange circumstances involved, then we can maybe get that secondary advice from the AR.
I think if we're talking about experience with working with some high profile match officials as well, like obviously we got Misuk here too. I think like Misuk, with your experience at the FIFA level and at A-Leagues level as well, I think like what are some things that you as an assistant referee, do you get told by the referee before kickoff that you need to be in control of or you're looking after as well?
Yeah, like I would say like a 3, like a C. So clear, if you see the situation, clear, and then, courage it, you take your decision, what is the, you see, and then clear communication, with your referee. So is cooperation can get the correct outcome, correct decision. So make sure clears, take your position, and then clear communication is the key, I think. But if referee cannot see the big decision, especially inside the penalty area, you have to courage to say and give your information. So, and then referee take the final decision as well. That's why this is an assistant, not the insistent.
Yeah, assistant, not insistent. I think you make a really good point there as well. Have the courage to say something, especially when you're out on the football pitch, because we can make a decision when we're out on the football pitch, not holding on to that and then having the courage and saying it in the change room, because we can't make a decision from the change room. It's way better to speak up something when you're out on the football pitch, so then the referee can make a decision. Yeah, like in some cases, they may not take on board what you said and they may take a different pathway, but we can't be upset with that because, like you said, we're there to be assistant referees. We're not there to be insistent referees.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I think that's really important. I think is there anything like as an assistant referee? Sorry, Misa, I'm just picking your brains here. Is there anything as an assistant referee? Because I know like with pre-match instructions, us referees and like I know everyone out there, if we're talking about referees, I shouldn't say us because I wanted to be AR specific as well. But I know when I referee a game, I say these are my expectations of the team. This is what I'm expecting during the match. Let me have control here, here, and here. This is where you need to have control. Is there a point where in pre-match instructions, you as an assistant referee want to let the referee know of any sort of key things or key areas that like you want to look after, or are you just going, well, we'll let the referee work that one out?
Like for example, I think communication is the key from my side, and then you have to know about the referee perspective during the game. So what kind of foul the referee pick, and then what kind of, the contact the referee didn't take it. So, and then you have to, the reading the game as well. So that's why it's like a, pre-match discussion. So if offside situation, but if the far side, the assistant referee cannot see who is the touch, who is the play the ball. So this kind of a situation, the referee must tell like a touch attacker or defender is if clear, communication. So assistant referee is a help to make a as an assistant referee decision from the referee communication to the assistant referee. So I think pre-match discussion is the important to build a good relationship between assistant referee and the referee for the game.
Yeah, because you're like in that. Sorry, Adam.
No. I was going to say, I think that adaptability is really important. I think we've all been stuck as assistant referees before, haven't we? Where we kind of just do what we've always done as assistant referees because that's what we think assistant referees have to do, and we've neglected to kind of adapt to the referee we're working with. And it's really important you get on that same wavelength as that referee. Like, okay, this referee wants me to call these. This referee wants me to use my voice here. I need to adapt to what that referee wants, as opposed to just doing what I always do as an assistant referee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like you mentioned, me, so I think like that communication of how, or like when you're talking in pre-match instructions, you could say how you as an assistant referee, how you're expecting to hear that communication on like when you're using the comms. You want to know when that ball has left the kicker's feet. You want to know who had the last contact, who, especially when you got offside decisions you got to make or ball in and out decisions. So I think like those are really key, and it does all come down to those pre-match instructions. I don't want to get hung up on pre-match instructions too much because we're talking about hot zone decisions and areas of control too and credibility. But I do believe like pre-match instructions are really important. I think there's a famous Queensland story that I've heard, and I like hearing it, I like repeating it as well, of how important pre-match instructions are. And one of our older referees, and he ran my first referee course, Des Miles, back in the day. He had a game with a young referee, and the young referee didn't give him any pre-match instructions. So Des went and stood at the halfway line with the flag in between his hands, and he stood there from kickoff. And 5-10 minutes later, the referee realized that his AR wasn't in position, and he ran over to Des and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I don't know what I'm doing. You didn't give me any pre-match instructions, mate." And then that, like, for me, I was like, well, as an assistant referee, you should know what you're doing. But also, like, for me, I'm kind of like, well, he does have a point. Like, it's really important we have these pre-match instructions as a team because we're wanting to set an expectation of what we're expecting the game is working as a team. So that was one story that really stuck with me, with Des Miles especially.
And look, like, I get it. Like, some referees might not always feel confident to do that. But look, if you're one of the more experienced referees in that team, then why don't you suggest, how about we have a little chat? Like, what do you want from us? Like, everyone in the team should take leadership and ownership about making sure we get the best product out on the field. And so, if you are an older referee with a younger referee, and the younger referee is just a bit too intimidated to give that pre-match brief, you encourage it. You take the lead in it. What would you like us to do? How would you want us to interact out there today? How can I help you the most? And then that will help. And, that one interaction might, help that referee more than you'd ever understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like not every contact is a punishable, right? And then all different angle from the assistant referee and the referee, that we are all sometimes we are same focusing, but so the point of contact is a different angle to see. So from assistant referee see like, oh, this is maybe impact. So that's why giving you information, but the referee point of view, this is a slight touch and contact. So they wouldn't give the penalty kick or this kind of a situation happen. So you have to think about, understanding about player movement. Is this slight contact or is this exactly impact on this situation? So I think this communication pre-match instruction is really important between the referee and assistant referee.
Yeah. And then on that in play, using preventative and proactive communication. It's not just helpful for the players, but it's helpful for your assistant referee. If they're thinking, oh, that might have been a foul, and they've heard you as a referee go play, 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 then they're not going to give the foul, and it's going to take away a moment of conflict. So using your voice out there as the referee can really help your ARs too.
So we'll jump into the first video that we have on here too, with the assistant referee credibility zone identification area. So it's a good AR as well, because the AR is also keeping an eye not just on the second last defender, but also when the ball gets into their area of credibility, they're then making an impact and being key to making a decision. So I'm just going to turn the sound off again.
What I love about that one is just the synchronicity between their signaling.
So those few points to remember, especially as an assistant referee, is the foul in my zone of credibility. So, if we go back to that first coaching session that we ran, have a look at that map again, have a look at that heat map. Where is my area of credibility? It could also change in your pre-match instructions as well. Am I adding value by getting involved here? Okay, so you don't want situations where you're flagging for a foul, but the referee doesn't think it's a foul. We want to make sure we get consistency there too. Is my foul threshold consistent? As mentioned from the second point, and body language is key to selling that decision. Okay, so you want to be certain. So just like the referees are really spot on here, let's use this video as the example case. We see the foul, flag goes up straight away and signals, little wiggle and a signal.
I will edit this one and more like assistant referee normally really quiet, but the assistant referee also anticipation before the situation happen. So maybe keep, think about, or you can tell like a possible spot and dorsal and, reckless or something, before the, situation happen. And then you give the information earlier rather than, the before. And then as a number as well, you have to remember about the number is the key, point to remember and then give information to the referee.
Yeah, absolutely. So going on with hot zone decisions, if we're talking about dynamic movement is really key if we're making hot zone decision making. So we've got to make sure we're involving a lot of that dynamic movement. So keeping your fitness up, running, sprinting, all that. Dynamic movement is a referee's ability to constantly adjust their position, speed, and direction to stay optimally aligned with play as it evolves. So, as play develops, we want to make sure we're in an area to make a right decision, be in the correct position to make the correct decision. So key elements that we look at here, constant adjustment. So we're staying mobile rather than static. So if you stay flat-footed in situations, it's going to take you longer to take those first two steps. Whereas if you kept on your toes and you were prepared to quickly get off the mark, it makes it easier for you to adjust and move into those positions. So staying static in that. Staying mobile in those situations rather than static. Angle creation, so positioning to see between players, not behind them. So moving a little bit to the left or moving a little bit to the right could be the difference to seeing a point of contact and not seeing a point of contact in situations. Anticipation, so you've got to understand reading the flow of the game. Usually it takes 10 minutes to understand what the flow of the game is going to be like. You can pick up what team is just time wasting during the game, what team is sort of holding on to possession of the ball to build up an attacking phase. So taking note of that in the first 10 minutes is really key. It is difficult in some, I know, lower divisional football where they just want to play kick and chase in some areas, but sometimes understanding that it's going to be kick and chase is all linked to anticipation. If you know it's going to be kick and chase, you don't want to be running end to end to end to end. You can adjust the way you move around too, so you're not overexerting yourself in situations too. Acceleration bursts, so short, sharp movements to keep up with fast transitions. That we're talking about staying on your toes, quick, sharp movements, and then you're able to get back in position. I can't remember the statistic, but they're like of how many sprints a referee has to do during a game. I don't know if off the top of my head, but
don't look
I
at,
know
look at my Ref6 account then, will you? Because it's not many.
I know. I definitely know it's more than 6. So
yeah, it's definitely more than 6. I don't do more than 6, but it is more than 6.
So they've got to be prepared to be able to sprint because we know how fast some of those players can be and how fast some of those counter attacks can be sometimes. That doesn't just go for referees. It actually goes for the assistant referees too. The amount of assistant referees that, are quick and they have their quick acceleration bursts is really key for them to be prepared because they've got to transition from sidestepping in some situations to quickly sprinting down a line, or if they're not prepared, they're in their backspace and where they need to sprint, they've got to do a quick turn and a run, kind of like the referee does on the football pitch. But recovery runs, resetting position when plays switches, so that when we're talking recovery runs, you're not walking, because if you're walking, you might get flat-footed, but you're doing little jogs, little steps on the spot to keep on your toes. Efficient footwork, which is what I just mentioned, keeping on your toes, and proximity balance. So close enough to make credible decisions, but also far enough to see the whole challenge, and also far enough that you're not going to get in the way of passing lanes, players, the ball. Sometimes, like, it sounds silly, but sometimes the line of vision of other players too. They're just key things to be aware of your surroundings. Like, we impact the game not just by making decisions, but we also impact the game because we end up crossing over a lot of the players and a lot of players' visions throughout the game too. So we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of if players are passing in a triangle, we could probably stand in the middle of the triangle, right, or stand just outside of the triangle to watch them pass and move downfield. You just don't want to be in the way, because if you get hit by the ball, it's, I don't know, especially when it's televised, it's a little bit embarrassing. But also, if you're getting in the way of an attacking player and you've blocked their run, like, they'd be quite frustrated in those situations there too.
That being said, as referees are learning and they're trying to find that confidence to get more into the hot zone, to join the attack, to push up the field, it's not uncommon for the ball to hit them a couple of times. And actually, like, because a lot of us can view that as a negative, and then I've seen referees kind of pull away from trying to get up the field. And what it is they're getting trapped between having the confidence to go all the way, and they don't have that confidence to really commit to it, so they end up in those passing lanes and they get hit by the ball. So being hit by the ball, obviously it's not ideal in a game, but it's a sign of you trying to do the right things. So if that does happen, then just accept it, understand it, and then just commit to getting up the field further. Commit to really going for it now, because you're already on that pathway. That's why the ball hit you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've just got a dynamic movement video here, which gives us an example of that movement when we're close proximity of the hot zone of that penalty area there, and preparing when the ball's going in. So being aware of your surroundings in that situation is really important. Understanding where that attacking player could be running through as well. So like we previously mentioned, being on your toes helps you move dynamically. Step, go. Keep it on your toes there. Dynamic movement helps you avoid passing lanes, keeps you alert for the next phase of play, and also keeps you moving when in the no standing zone as well. So obviously the little center circle that's there, we don't want refs standing in those situations, but making sure we're pushing through dynamically in those areas. You also need to combine dynamic movement with taking advanced positions. So obviously with those attacking plays, this refers to when a referee takes up the position between the line of defense and attack. Positioning between the lines puts you in an ideal position to be credible when in a hot zone. It pushes you further up the field in anticipation for a higher press, especially with higher pressure decisions, whilst also conserving your energy. So you're able to sort of head up down that line, knowing full well they're passing around the back there, preparing for that long ball, or even just the guys that are going in on the wings there to prepare you for that attacking phase. It stops you from also constantly chasing the ball. Like I said, end to end to end to end. It can be quite tiring. Some games, I know we've got refs coming off running over 10Ks on a game, but we can kind of lower that if we understand the football and we can adjust to it. So take advanced positions for hot zone decisions. I think the only extra little bit that I'd add there is if the referee's looking up and scanning forward rather than sort of looking at that ball there the whole time. Like, we know that no one's pressing on that player. Have a look. Oh, we've got a player running on the wing there. Then we're able to push through rather than looking like a oopsie moment and then having to sprint straight down there. Okay, Adam's got in there on one of the videos.
I was exhausted after that sprint.
I'll go back to that video just before this one happens here. Have a
I
look
really
how,
like this one.
The play is going around that middle of that defensive third there. Okay, the referee's already headed downfield here, almost in line with those second last defenders, almost in line with his AR, but he's also anticipating obviously the ball's going to go over the top. We've got an attacking phase, so making sure we're heading downfield is really important. I'm just trying to get it to the point of the start. There we go. So he sprints across. We're moving away from that center circle. We're not in it. We're outside of it. He's looking downfield. There's that scan straight away. It's really important. We see that scan. We're able to move downfield and get in good position.
I find it's a fun game to play as well. It's like, okay, I think the ball's going that way. And then when it does, you feel good about yourself, because you've positioned yourself for it. And when it doesn't, you're like, oh, no, I didn't. And like, I run that commentary in my head all the time to help me get further up the field. And then when I've got comms, I'm telling my ARs, I think it's coming your way. I think it's coming your way. And then it does. And then I put them on alert to sort of be ready for decisions and when I need their assistance there. So that's quite a good way of just thinking yourself through into those positions as well.
Yeah, definitely. So key points to remember there is accelerate through the center circle, use your explosive speed, be on your toes and ready to anticipate the play. Anticipate play go before the ball is moving, okay? And expect that attacking plays will be successful. So I think that's really key, is expecting that the attacking plays is going to be successful there. Getting behind the shot. So when a shot is taken, the most likely hot zone decision required is going to be handball. So we don't want to be standing too far to the left or too far to the right. We probably want to be almost behind that ball, because if we have a player that sticks out their arm, we're able to have a good, credible angle for that situation. So the only way to credibly see it, the point of contact, natural versus unnatural, deliberate movement as well towards the ball, and maximizing or minimizing the risk, is getting behind that shot in and around the penalty area. So to do this, you need to combine everything we have touched on this whole session as well. So we've got an example of getting behind the shot. The refs moving almost in and around that penalty area arc just there. For me, like if we're coming in from that, was that a throw in? Or was it just a ball that was coming in? was a throw in. So he's in a good position to start here. We just want to move around that arc there like he is. So he realizes, okay, ball's over this side, moves around the penalty area arc to get behind the ball. Same again here. When we don't have the press on there, we can see who he's looking across into there, because maybe we can move either the right, the left. Those small little things there we can start picking up on as well.
On this, when the shot's taken on the sound, you hear someone appeal for a handball, but there's no appeal on the field because the referee's doing such a good job at getting behind the shot to have a really credible view of it.
Yeah. Be that one. Was it that one just there with both arms are up? Like, ball was nowhere, like no arms were made contact with the ball there either. So the referee's a good, credible position to be able to sell that with a big no, or not even say anything at all because one person's asked for it. Some other good examples we have. Just behind the shot to see if there is a last touch. There we go, same with that one there. The arm's close, tucked into the body. So key points to remember for handball decisions in the penalty area: being behind the shot is your most credible position. Use dynamic movement around the penalty area to aid your ability to remain credible. Lateral movement and constant small adjustments are really helpful, and continue to use proactive and preventative communication to keep the play flowing as well. I think we've covered a fair bit, especially with the hot zone decision areas inside the penalty area. But really, like, most importantly, we just got to be in close proximity to the ball going into those hot zone areas and the penalty area. So we need to make sure we're including dynamic movement. We've got anticipation of, where the attacking phase is going to be going, and we've got that proximity, as well as being aware of our position of play. So making sure we're, like we mentioned in the last video, being behind the shot if we want to get a good angle of a handball in situations too. So, but that's the session on hot zone decisions for here. And do you guys have anything else to add, Misuk or Adam?
No, just one thing, the inside the penalty area decision and then also movement. So not all the time move, the left or right. So sometimes you're moving really dynamic movement. Sometimes you're missing the point of contact. So you have to, the reading the game as well.
Yeah, so it's understanding that flow of the game and reading it throughout, so that we're not impacting situations, but also so that we can make sure we're positioned well.
Yeah, get an angle view.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's another coaching session done. We look forward to seeing you on the next one ahead. So catch you guys next time.